Hey everybody, what's happening? Larry Roberts here. I wanted to ask you a quick question before we got started with the episode of the podcast today. I'm wondering, do you like to travel? So many people love to travel, and I hear it all the time that they would travel more if it was just more affordable. Well, I think I found an answer to that problem, and I would love to tell you all about it. So if you would, head over to the website, readilyrandom.com/travel, click on the collage of beautiful places that you can go, and sign up for our next webinar. We'll tell you all about it on the webinar. There's no fees to watch the webinar or anything like that. Check it out. If you love to travel, it's worth your time. I guarantee it. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the whole
I have a guest that I don't even know if I really invited this guy. I think I might have fallen prey to his trickery. I don't know. But we're going to go with it. I don't know. He seems like a good guy. Name's Dan Candell, and Dan is a hypnotist by profession, and he's also the co-host of the Square Peg Round Hole podcast, which yours truly has been on, and I've actually had his partner in crime, Matt Ward, was on the show already, and these two are co-hosts together, although they're not even in the same city. That's that technology stuff that makes it awesome. So anyhow, I could go on and on and on about both these guys, but we're only here to talk about Dan, not Matt. Forget Matt. So, Dan, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for hypnotizing me.
I am so happy to be here with you, the guy with two first names, Larry Roberts.
Right?
Although, if your name was Roberts, we'd have to drop the S. So,
yeah, it's usually not very accepted. Like, where? Is there two of him?
Hey, I'm thinking, Larry, about swapping you out for a podcast partner and telling Matt to go hit the curb. What do you think?
I'm all about it, brother. I tell you what, Matt's busy anyways. His book just came out that get more word of mouth referrals. Yeah. And that came out. He's crushing it there. So he's busy. So let's you and I do it, man. We'll tear it up.
Here's a great thing is Matt and I started that podcast, and I remember he said to me one time, he goes, "Dude, you're just a hypnotist." He goes, "Just a hypnotist? I'm used to being the most interesting guy in the room, and you're telling me I'm just a hypnotist." And yes, I really did control your mind to bring you on, to bring me on. See, I almost said to bring you on my podcast.
I'm still in your grasp. You haven't said the magic word to release me yet.
I never got that, Larry. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, do you hypnotize people to make them cluck like chickens?" I've never done that, and I never got where that is like this huge misperception about hypnotists. Like, I have never seen any hypnotist hypnotize a person to cluck like a chicken or to bark like a dog. But maybe I just haven't seen a lot of hypnotists.
Now, Dan, I got to ask you. I'm gonna drop it right out of the gate because I asked your friend and he didn't know. So I assume you, being in the profession, may or may not have heard of what's Flip Worley? Do you know Flip, or have you heard of Flip?
Yeah, I've heard of Flip. I've heard of Flip Worley before. Yes.
Yeah, he had me on stage at the Addison Improv here in North Dallas, playing invisible bongo drums while I was in the Congo. So I was, and I specifically remember that. I think it was like my 20-some-odd birthday, 22nd, 23rd birthday or something. My friend had taken me down to the Improv for my birthday, and he was there. And several of us went up on stage and, had a lot of fun there. So that's my only interaction though with hypnosis.
My favorite, one of my favorite skits to do. I have several skits that are like my favorite, but one of the routines I really like that I just started doing is turning somebody into a rapper that speaks a different language. And 99% of the time, they turn into a Japanese rapper, and they start like rapping in Japanese, like and you're like, what the heck is going on here? It is mind-boggling, some of the things that people do, and even I've been a hypnotist since I was 13 years old.
Wow!
And can you imagine a 13-year-old I was hypnotizing kids in high school, and then I'd hypnotize my teachers.
Yeah.
And
I could have gotten in so much trouble being a hypnotist in high school.
That's what everybody says. Like,
homecoming queen, you're my date now, right? Oh yes, Larry, you're the best.
It's like, you will give me A's. You will give me. See that That shows the difference between you and I. You're focusing on getting chicks. I'm focused on like, you'll give me A's.
Yeah, you want grades, not me. I don't
want
care.
grades.
I'm not going to college anyway.
Well, it it started off. I actually had a learning disability when I was younger, and I saw this stage hypnotist perform. He hypnotized a bunch of people, and it was almost like they fell under his spell. And like, dude, that looks so amazing.
Yeah.
So when I like remembered what he did, went home and practiced it on my friends in the basement, and it worked. So I sent them all home. And Dolly Parton was big when I was growing up, so I sent them all home.
She's still big today, by the way, just FYI.
She is still big
Yeah, she
today.
hasn't, even as she's older, she hadn't shrunk much.
She's big in a couple of ways,
Yes.
right? And I remember I had all these kids go home and pretend like that, not pretend, but they were hypnotized to think they were Dolly Parton. And those were really fun calls that my mom got later that night. Like, Dan, get up here. What, Mom? You turned the neighborhood kids into Dolly Parton. What the heck is wrong with you?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We had fun.
That is amazing.
Well, it was interesting because then I did self-hypnosis to get over my learning disability. And then I took a course. I became the world's youngest hypnotist when I was 13. I started traveling around, and now I've opened up for Slash from Guns N' Roses. I did 5 shows at a rock festival where they were playing. Having a hypnotist open for Slash, that was like,
I'm sitting here, I'm pondering that, because I mean, I would kill to meet Slash. And
Yeah.
I'd be kind of like, what if I went to see Slash in concert and, you know, I didn't have some metal band that was opening up. I had you come out and go, hey, Slash is going to sound great.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I don't even get it.
I showed up, Larry. It was this huge rock festival. There was about like 130,000 people there. And when I had to get paid afterwards to do, I did 5 shows for them, and I had to get paid. The last show that I did, right before the last show, a guy comes up in a golf cart and says, I need to take you to find Elmo. And I'm like, Elmo? Elmo? Yeah. What the? Yes, Elmo is going to pay you. So they bring me to this desolate field where there's one like camper in the middle of this like field. And they did this like secret door knock, like, and this old 86-year-old woman opens the door and she looks at me. She goes, what the hell do you want? I'm like, I'm looking for
Nothing.
I'm looking for, yeah. I'm like, please don't hurt me. I'll give you whatever you want, I swear. And I said, I'm looking for Elmo. And she goes, you're looking at her. And I said, you know, I got to get paid. I'm the hypnotist, and they owed me a balance of $4,000. And
wow.
and she's like, how much do we owe you? $4,000. She goes, $4,000. You're the effing hypnotist. And she's like swearing at me, and now I'm intimidated. So she looks down the other end. There is, Larry, there is a mattress that has a pile, like piles of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars piled on this mattress. And they give me a wad of $20 bills that amounts to $4,000. And I have skin tight jeans on. I'm like, where am I going to put it? And I said, well, Miss Elmo. and I said, how do I know this is $4,000? And she goes, you don't believe me? You don't trust me? I said, no, I just learned, you know, you don't leave someplace before you count the money. I'm like, how do I know this is $4,000? And she goes, fine, we'll put it through the money counting machine. I said, well, how do I know that's accurate? She goes, that's what we use to count the drug money. Any more questions? I'm like, you know what? Forget about it.
I've got it, man. It's cool.
I'm fine. Yeah. I stuck the money down my pants. I had all these wads of $20 bills in my pants. I had to go do another show in front of like 130,000 people.
Oh my God. Man, that had to be comfortable.
Oh my God. And the stagehands backstage, people, like, they knew what had happened. They're dying laughing as I waddle on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to get hypnotized? Like,
leaving a trail of 20s as you walk, and they're just walking. Oh, we got it, Dad. Don't worry.
Make it rain.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
And you know, it developed to the point where now I have a therapy center, and I mainly see people for anxiety issues and high performance issues. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, sales professionals, and people who have like severe limiting anxiety. And after I see a person for about usually like 4 sessions, they can stop a panic attack in 6 seconds. And usually these are people who have had panic attacks, and they'll last sometimes like all day long, where they'll be stuck in this like whirlwind of crap. And then I do that. I do the hypnosis shows and motivational speaking. I have to say, I love what I do. This is my passion, to control people's minds. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. If I could do that, I'd be like, yeah. I just think life would be so much easier. Can you just not get anything that you want? I mean, I see you're sitting in a mansion right now with probably some original European tapestry or something behind you, on this brick wall made of gold. It looks like. I mean, so apparently you're doing all right.
Well, hypnosis has been very good to me.
It looks
Hypnosis
like
has
it.
been very good to me. And the thing is, though, people make a joke, and other hypnotists, because I coach and I train other hypnotists, and people often say like, "Oh, we want to be like you. We want to have what you have." And their common joke amongst my community, they say, if you're gonna do what Dan does, you have a butt, because he's worked it off. And I literally have worked my butt off. I've gone in places where I've gone to the murder capital of the world and survived. I think that's an accomplishment.
And where is that? Is that Brazil? For some reason, I'm thinking that's Brazil.
San Salvador. San Salvador.
I was close. It's just next door, right down the street.
Same place.
Yeah.
Right across the pond. So they hire me to go there and do a motivational speech and a hypnosis show for a company for their employees. I'm asking them like, so what type of audience is this? They're all entrepreneurs. Okay, well, what type of entrepreneur in sales? What do they sell? You do not need to know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to ask any more questions. So I'm about to board the plane. I'm checking into my flight, and the woman checking me into my flight, and I'm still in the U.S. at this point. The woman checking me into my flight, she was Spanish. She goes, "Amigo, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to San Salvador." And she goes, "Ay, Dios mío, don't go." And I go, "Why?" She goes, "I'm from there and never go back. It's the murder capital of the world." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And she goes, "Yes, good luck." And for the people who are listening, she makes a sign of the cross and she goes, "Good luck. I hope you come back alive." That's how I boarded the plane.
Not me. That's when I'm going back on. I'm like,
Yeah. So I learned something. They asked me if I wanted bodyguards while I was there, and I turned them down like a moron. I'm like, "No, I don't need a bodyguard. Why would I need a bodyguard?" I realized something. If a place asks you if you want a bodyguard, you don't say yes. You just say, "I don't want to go."
Yeah, exactly.
and you cancel the tour.
Yeah.
They end up calling me back. They said, we really like you. After I did the presentation, they said, "We really like your message. We want to hire you." And they wanted to put me on like a $30,000 2-week tour. And I declined. I said no. Because they're like, you have to get insurance on your body. So if anything happens to you, we send American missionaries to go in and collect your body. I don't like those words, collect your body.
No.
Like, that does not sound fun to me.
Man, if you have to send missionaries in to get me, I don't need to be there. It's just, I saw the latest Rambo. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's all about missionaries getting tore up over there. And I'm just like, I don't need John Rambo to come over and save me because the missionaries did a bad job.
Well, this is where it's a choice. But sometimes, we all put ourselves sometimes in compromising situations just so we can tell the story.
Sure.
Like the story of survival, right?
Yeah.
Horror stories you never thought you'd ever be able to tell.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, you were hypnotized by Flip, right?
Yes.
And when you were hypnotized, what was it like? Were you still aware of what was going on?
Yeah, I mean, I could still see the audience, and I was aware of the audience interaction. There was probably, I'm going to say, 10 to 12 of us on the stage at the same time, and we were lined up in just chairs, just your basic chairs. And he did a variety of different things with us. And I specifically remember 2, and that's really about all I have left after being so long, is I'm playing my bongo in the Congo. And I think I was like some hippie or something, because I was like, yeah, man. And I was at the mic, playing this bongo. And another one, he made our watches. He made it sound like our watches were someplace else. There's something was there, because my friend Eric, who was a very large man, and he jumped up and literally threw his chair across the stage because it freaked him out. Now, I don't know if that's legit, if Eric was just being Eric. He tends to exaggerate things, Sorry, Mr. Loveless. But in case you listen to the show, I still love you. I knew that I was doing something, and I probably just couldn't explain why I was doing it.
Yeah.
But it was suggested that I do whatever it is that I was doing, and I did it, but I wasn't in a state of duress, or I wasn't, like you'll see people hypnotized in movies or whatever, where you're just a zombie and you have this dead eyes and you're just, it wasn't like that at all.
Well, you feel totally comfortable, relaxed, and safe doing whatever the hypnotist tells you to do, because we essentially what we're doing is we're inducing a state of intoxication. So it's almost where your inhibitions kind of disappear. So it's almost like what you said. It's kind of like you drink a couple too many glasses of wine at a party, and then you start dancing on the table, and then the next day you call the person whose party you were at, and you're like, oh my God, did I really do that? I'm so sorry. And you have like kind of a vague memory of doing it, but it's like a lot of bits and pieces are missing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what hypnosis is like on stage. So in essence, a crude description is we're inducing a state of intoxication people, and we're making them hallucinate.
Wow. I mean, it sounds great. I think everybody will sign up for that.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah. But you're in total control the entire time. Like, you can get up and you can walk off stage. You can end the trance anytime you want. And I also do dirty shows and I know this is like a family friendly
like with
podcast.
Mud or something. You take them in white mud. I don't understand.
Let's just say there are adult objects that are being used in the show.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So, although having people wrestle, that would be fun. Let's get you in some mud, have you wrestle.
Oh man, we gotta move on, because my mind. I don't know if I told you about my first podcast. It was. I think I described it last night as just a bunch of tomfoolery and filth. And
that's what this could go to. So we
in a heartbeat, brother. In a heartbeat.
Well, I want to tell you a story about what happened when I was actually in New Jersey performing. I do a lot of like Catholic schools and everything like that, and they have me perform like on the altar in front of the crucifix. Like, it's weird, but it's fun. It's cool. Yeah, it's really weird. You're hypnotizing people on the altar, and it's like, I am the second coming of Christ. Sleep. Like,
wow,
it's weird. And I'm at this one show in New Jersey for a Catholic high school. 5 minutes before the show, Larry, the headmaster of the school comes up to me. He goes, Mr. Candell, we have a problem. I'm like, what's the problem? He's like, there's people protesting your presence at this very moment in time, because one of the priests had sent to like the parishioners in the community, if you go to the hypnosis show, you'll be forever damned in hell.
Oh yeah.
So the show was sold out now because everyone wanted to see what the evil hypnotist was doing. But there were people protesting. So I go outside, and sure enough, there's like 12 people out there with signs that say Dan Candell is the spawn of Satan. Like, you can't make this stuff up.
That'd be an awesome selfie.
Oh yeah. I should have. So instead, I like bypass that. I go to the woman in the middle, the HWIC, the head witch in charge.
Yes.
And I knew it was her because she like bedazzled her sign. She put like sequins all over this and everything like that. She put a lot of time into it. So I go over to her. I goes, ma'am, you do realize hypnosis, it's not the spawn of Satan. It's not the spawn of Satan. It's not the work of the devil. It's not mind control or evil. It's actually a lot of fun. We're going to help, I help people with it. And then I realized she's looking at me like I have 18 heads. She had no idea who I was. And I said, ma'am, do you know who I am? Even though she's standing next to my 6-foot life-size poster. And she goes, no, I don't know who you are. And that like New Jersey sassy attitude.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm Dan Candell. I'm the one on your sign. Larry, without skipping a beat, this woman, she steps back, she grabs her crucifix, and she goes, you, sir, are the spawn of Satan. I lost it. I looked at her, and I goes, yes, I am. She dropped that sign, just ran away.
Oh, my gosh.
But that's the thing, is some people think that hypnosis is like evil, it's mind control, it's weird. It's really not. And the one thing that I have a lot of people ask me is, how do you get people to follow your every command? So I just wrote a book about it.
Oh, well, by all means,
And-
tell us about your book, Dan.
and it's called The Hypnotic Connection: How to Influence and Persuade Anyone, Inside Secrets of a Real Hypnotist. And basically it's utilizing hypnotic principles to persuade and influence people in sales and relationships. And it's not manipulation. It's more getting them to do things for the better good of what they need to do or of what you want them to do. And Zig Ziglar said it perfectly. He said, you can get what you want by helping other people get what they want. And that's exactly what this book is about. It's helping people really make decisions in an easier way, but also build your ideal life by hacking into other people's communication styles. So part one is all about how to hypnotically connect and communicate with other people. And it's all about persuasion and influence. And part two is all about how to communicate with your own subconscious mind so that you can gain confidence, become more motivated, increase focus, decrease stress and anxiety and stuff like that. So it was definitely like, it was a passion project.
Yeah, and I love the cover. I think the cover's cool. It's got the glowing brain there, and
Yes.
I'm having a hard time describing it and not making it sound cheesy. But that you have a hand, and there's like lightning coming out of the lightning's forming a brain, and it's kind of like the electrical current flowing through the brain, and that must be your hand, and you're controlling Satan. There,
yes. It is very satanic.
I'm trying to piece it all together here, Dan.
Piecemeal, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it sounds like to me, it sounds a lot like, and you said hacking, which I thought was an interesting term, because a lot of hacking is really it has nothing to do with the keyboard,
right?
And a lot of people don't realize that, but hackers don't use a keyboard. A vast majority of the time, hackers use something referred to as social engineering to acquire the information they need to do a little bit of work with their keyboard when you've done most of the work for them. So it seems like to me, and I may be way off base here, but it seems like to me that hypnosis is somehow similar, or maybe a distant cousin or something. But
it's like a brain hack. So what's happening is you're actually bypassing this mechanism of the conscious mind. It's called the critical factor. And that's a part of your mind that stops you from developing new habits and new personality traits and behaviors. And when that part of the mind is bypassed, you can install, like you would install a computer program, any other program, as long as the person wants to accept it. And it's just like anything where you can put like a firewall up on a computer, and it's the same thing where when a person is hypnotized, it's like their firewall is down. It's bypassed, so that way we can install any program, and it's it's for the good of people. If we want to install a program that says every time you hear your phone ring, you're going to strip, that
do not call me.
I was going to say, Larry, I'm going to call you right now.
Do not call me. I don't want to test it.
But what happens though is, like, if it were you and you didn't have this natural inclination to just take all your clothes off, that suggestion wouldn't work for you. But let's say you were a stripper and you're like, well, maybe.
You don't know me, Dan.
But if you were a stripper, that suggestion would make sense in some situations, right? But if you were at your, and I've worked with, in a therapeutic setting, I've worked with many strippers to give them confidence. I really have. My business partners.
To give them confidence?
Yes. More
like on stage or in life?
Yes, on stage. Because more confidence means more tips.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about money, not, anyway.
Right, right.
And because a lot of these women, they have to strip because they have kids just like anybody else, and they're sending them to private school, and they're like, we feel like we're getting judged. So it's about giving them confidence. And I've worked with many strippers before where I've said, just play a role. However, there's one issue that I had. I was working with a golfer and a stripper back to back. And I sometimes record their sessions so I can send them the audios afterwards. And I accidentally sent the stripper the golfer's audio and the golfer the stripper's audio. So I get this phone call, and it was the golfer, and the golfer said, Dan, I just listened to your audio that you sent me. And I said, okay. And he's like, first off, I didn't realize you secretly called me Candy while I was in hypnosis. And I'm like, and instantly it registered. And I'm like, oh no. And then he said, but it did give me a new perspective on what a hole in one means.
Oh, God.
And sorry. Yeah, we took it there. But the same principles that you can use in something like golf or something like in stripping. I'm sorry we went there, but the same things that you could use for that, like confidence, the ability to get in a zone. You can use this in business. You can use it in academics, where it's all about getting in the zone, all about focus and concentration, all about emotional control, all about influence. And you can use these attributes in any and every part of life to build your ideal life, to really get what you want in life. And that's what the message is.
And that's a great message, whether it's done with hypnosis or whatever other method you choose to utilize. That's a great message regardless. And I know this is probably the stereotypical question that you were asked as a hypnotist, but couldn't you just hypnotize people to give you their money?
So what I could do is I could have a person close their eyes and hypnotize them, and while their eyes are closed, I could rob them. That would not.
Well, no, it's something a little less violent, probably.
No, so yes, that's a good question. And a lot of people ask, like, hey, can you go in, like, you must be the world's easiest person to rob a bank, right? But there's something that we need, and that is three things that people need to be hypnotized: motivation, expectation, and belief. And a person, they don't have to believe in hypnosis, but they have to have an open mind to it. They have to be somewhat willing to be hypnotized as well. And they are pretty much aware of what they're doing and the interaction that's happening. So if you said to them, and there was no unwarranted reason, you'd say, on my count of three, you're going to open up your eyes and you're going to give me all your money. In a private setting, that wouldn't work. Now, if that's part of a stage show and it's part of like a comedy bit, it would work. And I've done that before in a stage show where I take a guy's name away, where I tell the guy, I'm like, on my count of three, you open up your eyes. When I ask you your name, you cannot remember nor say your name, no matter how hard you try. And the guy will actually like take out his wallet and take out his license and try and say his name from his license, and he can't say it. And I'll look in his wallet and I'll say, how much money you got in there? And he'll be like, 200. I'll say, great, on my count of three, you'll have an overwhelming urgent desire to give me your money. 1, 2, 3. And he'll actually take out his money and give me his money. And I'll give it back to him. But then I do skits with it. Well,
you lost me.
Ethics.
Oh,
ethics, that little moral obligation that we have to be good people. But what would happen if I didn't give his money back to him? Which actually happened one time. I forgot to give the money back. And it was only $20, but I forgot to give the guy his money back. And someone had told him afterwards, oh, Dan took $20. And thank God they said he forgot to give it back to you. So the guy comes back over and he's like, did you take $20? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot to give it back to you. It's usually a part I do in my show that's a skit. And I totally forgot. So I actually cut that part out of my show, because I'm like, if I'll forget once, I'll forget twice.
Right.
And then the second time I forget, it'll because I've had people, Larry, they'll come out to my car with a baseball bat, and that's happened a couple of times. And that's more of like the R-rated shows that I do, where like a jealous boyfriend would come out or something like that, and he'll try and mess with me. And so there's been some compromising situations I've had to get myself out
when you
of.
do those shows, do you drive like beat up old cars just in case, or?
I bring a posse with me. So I drive this like big Jeep, and I bring a posse of hypno homies with me.
Hypno homies. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's,
so you were just telling me, Larry, too. You said that, the person I just interviewed like cried on my podcast. You're
yes.
Like, I hope we get that. We have like the opposite effect.
They just go, oh, okay, thank you. Thanks for having me on, guys. I gotta go. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Before you hit me.
But it really is all about like not just having fun, but really being able to help people.
Right.
And I do use the shows as a way to help people as well. And every show I do has a motivational message behind it, because I want people to know when you use the power of your mind and you tap into that part of your mind, you can achieve and accomplish almost anything that you set your mind to. And that's really the message I like to convey to people.
That's an awesome message. Do you do comedy venues? Or, I mean, I have to imagine some of this done a stadium of 130,000 people are going to have a hard time going, yeah, I'll do your little comedy club of 50 people. I mean,
Yes. Yes, I do intimate shows as well. And when I say intimate, I don't mean dirty. I do like shows that are more intimate, where there are like 70 to 100 people.
Right.
I'm doing a theater in a couple of weeks. It only seats 70 people. I'm doing another theater the week after that seats 300. I'm doing another theater after that seats 3,000. And so and I do comedy clubs and I've done casinos and stuff like that. And I do so many shows where I do about 100 to 120 shows a year. Now I'm doing a little bit less because I just have so much going on. I'm not doing as many shows. But after a while, they all just sort of blend into one another.
Sure.
And now, you do comedy, right?
I have. I don't religiously by any means. No, I've been on stage a couple of times, but I would not call myself, unless you look at my one sheet, I wouldn't call myself a comedian. Because my one sheet says I'm a comedian, but I might be stretching it a little bit. So,
but after you do so many shows, it's like a new city is a new city, a new show is a new show. And honestly, the ones that stand out aren't really the really, really good ones. It's the ones where something really messed up happens in your show.
Yeah.
And it's probably the same comedy when you have a heckler and that's the one that stands out to you. And it's just anything that interrupts our pattern is going to stand out more to us. And you can have a good show or a good set 10 nights in a row. And then you have one wacky, weird thing that happens. But what I've done is I've looked at all those wacky, weird things that have happened. I do my best to put a funny twist on them.
Right.
And I find that way they become memorable, but for a good reason.
So you mentioned hecklers. Do you get a lot of hecklers in your audiences?
Here's
and if so, how do you deal with them? Do you hypnotize them to shut up?
So people usually won't heckle a guy with a microphone who seemingly can control other people's minds. With that said, I have had hecklers. One specific heckler actually gave me extreme PTSD that I needed to go to a hypnotist to overcome. This is like kind of the recovery story of anxiety for me. I was doing a show and a group of people went to the show with an agenda. And they found out some things about my personal life and my sexual preference, and they started screaming obscenities at me as I walked on stage.
Mm.
And what I did is I ended the show early, and I said, it's unfortunate that this happened, because at that point, Larry, there's to me that's not funny,
right?
And there's no way to really make it funny in that essence. And it wasn't the type of venue where I could lay into those people, because it was at a Catholic high school.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So I can't get into them and I can't lay into them. And so anyway, I left and I'm like, that's that. And it happened. Move on, go to the next show. The show I had the next night, I could not even go on stage. I was backstage. I felt like I was going to throw up everywhere. I could not physically go on stage. So I had to cancel a bunch of my shows for about 2 months. I didn't realize how much it had affected me. But what that did, I did overcome it. I used the techniques that I actually use in my office, and I worked with other hypnotists to help me through this as well. And what it did, though, it allowed me to strategize of what am I going to do if that happens again. And if that specific situation happens again, I'm going to take a more serious approach than I would a funny approach. And instead of being like, oh, it takes one to know one.
Right.
And sorry to get heavy here. I don't mean to.
I know we were laughing and now my shoulders are sagging and
now we're all depressed and stuff. It's just
No,
um,
it's good to hear this side of things, honestly, because I mean we were laughing and having a great time, and it made it seem like everything was just peachy keen in the world of
right,
hypnosis. But at the same time, it's really not, and it's just like, I mean, things aren't great in comedy. I mean, there
right,
are so many comedians, especially the open micers, the new guys. They're just cutthroat and they hate on each other and they just insult each other and they berate each other and they do
yeah,
everything they can to destroy their moment. Because comedians, they do their thing for most of the time a similar reason. They want to escape their stuff, whatever it is that they have
right,
going on. You know, the greatest comedians are some of the most depressed.
yes, yes,
You know, look at Robin
because,
Williams. He was a god among
yep,
comedians. Depressed. Nobody even knew. They just thought he was Mork from Ork and, you know, all his characters that he played. But you see that all the time. And I have to assume that it's similar in any other performance art.
it is because you're using that as an outlet, and comedians especially, they can go and they can laugh at the problems that they have on stage, but then they leave and they really have to confront and face those demons that they were just laughing about.
Right.
Or and this is kind of what it is for me. Like I get paid sometimes thousands of dollars for to put a microphone in my hand and just go and play with people's heads. Like that, and that boggles my mind that I have been given the opportunity to do this, and that, like I could call this my job. But
Yeah.
I have to say though, you take the microphone out of my hand, and I am the biggest introvert. I I'm on, and you experience this probably with comedy too. Like you feed off the audience's energy,
Hmm.
but once that's over, you have to go back to your real life, and for like 90 minutes, you are a freaking rock star. Like you are up there where you are a rock star. I Some of the events I go to, I have to have security walking me around because I am a rock star. Same thing with a comedian. You are a rock star for that 90 minutes that you're, or 30 minutes, whatever it is that you're doing your set, even 10 minutes that you're doing your set, you're a rock star. But then you go home. And when you go home, you are just Larry. I am just Dan. And nobody gives a rat's behind.
Right.
You just rocked this joint. So,
Yeah, they don't.
sorry to get heavy.
No,
But
no, and you know, I think it's great to have a good, positive, strong message to go along with all the laughs and the cut ups and the giggles that we've been having. So that allows a true message to be transferred from your life experiences to me and my audience, and that's
yeah,
great because each of my shows all have some sort of message to them, whether it's, hey, if you do this you're going to get rich, or hey, if you do this you can get sober, or if you do this you get hypnotized by Dan. I mean, just all these things. So I think it's great that you show this side of it as well.
thank you, and I think it really does put out there that we all need to take care of ourselves, regardless. Everybody has a personal life, and you can be Joe the baker, and then you come home and you have a personal life, and we all have to deal with stuff. We all have stuff we have to deal with. That's just how we deal with it, and that's why recently, because I've been traveling a lot, and I know my body takes a beating when I travel,
Sure.
and so and I was getting sick a lot, and then I was like, oh, like this sucks. So I started going to the gym and started taking vitamin supplements, and it really does, and it gets the oxytocin, it gets the dopamine, it gets the endorphins flowing, and you feel a lot better. And we need to take care of ourselves in order to make sure that all components of our life are taken care of, because if you don't take care of you first, it's that oxygen mask example. If you can't put the oxygen mask on somebody else if you don't put it on you first.
Right. Right.
And
I was like,
and
what? But no, it's like when the oxygen masks drop from an airplane, you
right.
have to put it on you first before you can start assisting others, or you may pass out in mid help. So yeah,
Exactly. And then if you have two kids with you, you have to decide which one of those kids you like the best. Like which one's going to support you later on in
well,
life.
I would use one to plug the hole that is in the fuselage. I'd be like, look, Timmy, get over there.
Stick your finger in. It's just
Mama said nothing will happen.
Exactly.
Dan, I want to ask you one more question, and then we're going to have to wrap
Sure.
up because I'm very popular and I have another podcast in the queue that I
There
have
you
to do
go.
tonight. So it seems like there is a resurgence of magic and hypnotism that's going on right now. I've seen a couple of shows that are, I don't know what channel they're on, but I catch them for some reason. I just happen to run into them. Penn and Teller seems to have one where it's kind of like America's Got Magic or something like that. It's America's Got Talent, but they're all magicians and performance artists.
Yes.
And there's another one that tries to be that show, but it's really, really bad. And the magicians are really just not impressive. And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings, but no, you can see what they're doing. I mean, it's so bad that the camera goes, oh, it's horrible. The Penn and Teller one's really, really good. But my whole point of bringing that up is there seems to be a resurgence. Is this something that you're seeing out there right now?
100%, and especially as someone who trains hypnotists, the reason why that we have this resurgence going on now is because the information is so readily available. But what happens then is you have so many unqualified people. And I can tell you a million horror stories of people who are not trained properly in hypnosis who are really causing a mess. And you have to take a proper training because hypnosis, it's not therapy. So it's not regulated.
Right.
And you could, like I said, when I was a kid, I saw a stage show. I remembered how he did it, went home and I did it and practiced it on the kids in my basement. and willingly, they were willing.
Right.
But you don't, but you don't need any qualifications to be a hypnotist because there's no regulation to it. So there is this resurgence. It's because the information is so widely popular because there's so many people out there teaching it now. We get in debates about this in the hypnosis community all the time. People are going on YouTube and just learning these little mind tricks and thinking that they're now amazing hypnotists, and they're not. And you really should take a proper training. And also before you go to see a hypnotist, whether it be for a personal reason, you're going to their office, or like I do a lot of sessions online with people, or if you're going to someone's show, check them out first. Like, make sure this person is qualified. Make sure that they're going to be working with your mind. Probably the most personal thing that you have about you, because in your mind is stored everything that makes your body tick and everything that you've ever heard, seen, felt, and experienced, learned, read, smelled, and tasted. And based on that composes your beliefs, behaviors, feelings, habits, sensations, emotions, personality, programs of sorts. All of that stuff is in your mind. And if you're going to be going to somebody to help you with something that's in your mind, you better make sure that they're qualified. So that's all.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, you had me hypnotized with everything you just read off there. It's like, and you didn't read it off. You were doing it on your fingers for folks that are just listening. You just, I don't even remember what you said. It was so fast. It's like, I don't think you've ever said that before is really where I'm going with this. I think that was the first time that you read those things off. So, well, I want to thank you, Dan, for coming on here and hypnotizing me not to like cake. I definitely need that, and I'm looking forward to eating something other than cake tonight.
Next time.
Probably ice cream. Probably ice cream. We'll have to work on that one next. So, well, Dan, tell everybody once again about your book, where they can find you on social media, where they can find your upcoming shows. You travel all over the United States, I'm assuming. I've seen you all over the place on Facebook. So,
I go all over the place. So I'm on Facebook and social media all over the place: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Dan Candell, Dan Candell, Candell. Think soda can, Dell computer, slap them together, Dan Candell. You can go to dancandell.com, or you can go on the hypnoticconnectionbook.com. But yeah, so the book is The Hypnotic Connection, How to Influence and Persuade Anyone, Insider Secrets of a Real Hypnotist. Just go on my website, dancandell.com, or go on my Facebook, and you can see them posting on it, and you can get it there. It will also be available on Amazon by the end of September.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Dan, once again, thank you very much. I had a blast, and hopefully you did too. You laughed a little bit, so I appreciate that. If you were faking it, that's cool. But no, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to spend with me here on this show. And thanks, man. I mean, that's all I got.
I always ask three things of people, and I'm going to ask this of you and the listening audience as well. That is, be well, do good, be true to who you are.
Yes. I dig that. Especially that last one, be true to who you are. Because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, and this is just between you and I and the 5 people that listen. That's kind of the gist of my next book. I've already started laying the groundwork. I've started laying the groundwork.
The groundwork?
Yeah, that's why I've decided to write instead of speak, folks. No, that's really the groundwork for my next book, and it's how to insert your true personality into your podcast. It's going to go along with my podcast series, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that because I'm going to anyway.
Yeah, do it.
This leads me right into saying, hey guys, thanks once again for listening to another exciting episode of the Readily Random podcast. And remember, if you are wanting to start your very own podcast, check out my book. It's 1 + 1 = Podcast by yours truly, Larry Roberts, where I take and I simplify the equation of podcasting success. Thanks everybody once again, and we'll talk again very soon.